And I'm Jack Demmler. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. The death toll is rising and the search and rescue efforts are intensifying in flood-stricken Kentucky. The number of dead now stands at 35 and hundreds of people are still unaccounted for. A man convicted of killing a couple in 2017 is still facing the death penalty after an Ohio Supreme Court ruling. George Brinkman was convicted for the death of Rugel and Roberta John and sentenced to death by a Stark County panel. The state Supreme Court rejected arguments Brinkman should be spared from death because of childhood abuse and mental health issues. In other education news, a curriculum director at the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction will now be focused on reviewing programs allowing teachers to carry guns at school. Governor Mike DeWine announced the appointment of Mary Davis yesterday. This comes after Ohio Republicans lowered the training hours for teachers to carry guns in schools and told school districts to submit plans for those hours. The Columbus Dispatch reports Davis previously served as an Athens County Sheriff's deputy, amongst other law enforcement positions. Southeast Ohio is experiencing a shortage of bus drivers with the school year just around the corner.
It's been a real challenge for the district, but also for parents who've had to change work schedules at the last minute and try to get their students to and from both practices and events.
The shortage of drivers has been going on for years. Parents look to school boards to solve the issue, but superintendents say the issue comes from the lack of bus drivers in the region.
It's a dangerous job. A lot of people don't consider that. It doesn't pay a lot. You're not getting 40 hours a week as a bus driver.
Bus drivers typically get paid for 5 hours of work per day. Dan Fuchs, a parent in Athens, says his experience with the bus driver shortage led him to do something.
Last year when school was canceled for 2 weeks or whatever because too many bus drivers were sick and in quarantine, that was what led me to start the process to become a bus driver.
Fuchs says he did not need the job, but had the time and wanted to help his community. Schools say they work to recruit and incentivize bus drivers. Athens City School Superintendent Tom Gibbs says they are increasing the pay by 10%.
We're hoping that those types of benefits will encourage more people to come and work with us and to stay with us for a longer period of time.
Gibbs says Athens City Schools are fortunate to have a fully licensed driver for every route this year. Fuchs says the decision of the pay increase contributed to the bus driver shortage because the AFS-CME union originally voted it down.
Voting that down cost us a bus driver. And it made everyone who was still a bus driver there, it made our jobs harder.
John Johnson, the regional director for the Athens AFS-CME union, says he believes some members voted against the initial contract negotiations because they believed they deserved to be paid more. Hanning says Federal Hawking is fortunate to be fully staffed for full-time bus drivers, but they still need substitute bus drivers.
But we're always trying to recruit, and our transportation supervisor does a good job of, trying to have a couple people that are available.
Hanning says their transportation supervisor and garage staff can fill in if a bus driver is absent. Schools still work diligently to overcome the bus driver shortage. Thanks, Peyton. The shortage of qualified teachers is raising concerns for local school leaders. School districts are working to address the issue with the start of the school year 3 weeks away. When Phil Howard first took charge of the Jackson City School District, he had no problems finding qualified teachers.
I literally had milk crates full of applications for elementary education, particularly in the primary K through 3.
15 years later, it's a different story.
Now I'm lucky if I've got 15, 20 applicants for those same positions.
Jackson City Schools isn't alone in its struggle to find teachers. It's a problem across the country as fewer college students decide to enter the profession. Scott DeMauro, the president of the Ohio Education Association, says the number of education majors dropped in half between 2005 and 2020, and that trend continues.
The shortage is becoming more of an issue now because for a while, we didn't have enough growth in student population.
The shortage of teachers is such a problem that last year, Ohio lawmakers granted districts the ability to loosen substitute teaching requirements up through the 2023-2024 academic year.
Quite frankly, if it weren't for those people, and most of them honestly were college students, if we weren't able to have those people to come and substitute teach, I don't know what we would have done. I don't know how we would have gotten through.
Schools also addressed the shortage by combining classes, increasing teachers' class loads, as well as changing teaching assignments. Howard says the teachers at Jackson are understanding of the shortage and have been very helpful with their situation.
Say no choice! We say pro-choice! They say no choice!
Frustration following last week's Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe v. Wade. Shivani Deshpande, a medical student at Ohio University, worries the decision could impact her education.
We don't know, as these bans get put down, what that means for public schools and curriculum.
Deshpande says she worries if education is affected, it could set her at a disadvantage to students in states with legal abortion. Jane Broker, a gynecologist in Athens, believes the curriculum will stay the same.
Medical students will graduate from medical school, at least here in this area, with knowledge about abortion and abortion services.
Broker also says she believes there will not be a change in training. The court's decision has medical students questioning what it could mean for their future practice.
It just carries a lot of implications as far as like, what will I be allowed to do as a physician? What counseling can I give my patients? What is the scope of how much I can help my patients?
The court's ruling also impacts the relationship between a doctor and their patient.
I think people are going to be far less trusting of their doctors. We're going to see individuals, resorting to unsafe practices to try to obtain abortions.
Faber says she fears the decision could lead to other restrictions, including access to contraceptives. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jack Demmler in Athens. Here at Athens High School, the halls are mostly empty for the summer, except in this classroom, where a handful of students are spending their summer catching up so they can graduate on time.
Essentially, students go through lessons, they learn standards that they didn't pick up during the school year.
The students are taking part in Athens High School's credit recovery program, one of several ways the school is helping students impacted by 3 years of learning during a pandemic.
The kids just kind of work through each lesson, but there's a pretest at the beginning of each unit, so stuff they already know they don't have to do, which is kind of nice.
Through the online platform known as Apex, the program is customized to meet the individual needs of each student. The high school then provides content specialists who meet with the students in person and offer support to those who are struggling. Only in its second year, school officials say the program is helping students catch up.
Last year, we had approximately, 175 classes recovered, which is amazing.
And school officials are hoping this year will be just as successful. So far, 3 students have completed the program. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jack Demmler in Athens.